Game Day.
What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? You're on another episode of Chiefs Focus Live. We won. It wasn't pretty, but it is what it is. How you guys doing?
Pretty
we got Thiz,
good.
we got Caleb.
Pretty good. You guys doing all right?
What it do?
I was stressed out, but
I wasn't. I'll be
In
honest
the
with
words of Vin Diesel on every Fast and Furious movie there ever was, doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
you. Exactly.
right.
Winning is winning.
Yeah.
It was ugly, man. I don't like it though. Just because we won doesn't mean I can't be a little critical.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's a fair reason to be critical. I mean, when we look, and we can do as a first topic, we're going to get through the initial thoughts, offensive, defensive MVP, and our final thoughts. We'll wrap it up tonight. But kind of like the our overall thoughts, we'll start with you, Thiz. What was your thoughts during and after the game?
I thought that Mahomes tried to do too much, and I think that the Jets, it felt like the Jets uniforms blended in with the grass way too much because Mahomes looked like he was throwing directly to defenders on two of those interceptions.
Okay.
I think it was only two.
Okay.
Pacheco went straight beast mode out here. He did his thing, and the defense did great. It's just they were doing so great at the very beginning that they might have got gassed towards the end. And I'm not hating on them. I think they did an amazing job. I just think that towards the end it just kind of gassed out.
I think
like the air got sucked out of off the Chiefs sideline.
No, that's fair. One thing I noticed, and this is my thoughts when I was looking, I kind of felt as if the vanilla offense kind of caught up to them a little bit because they were doing very great and figuring things out. But it kind of came down to miscues. I mean, the first interception, Mahomes just didn't put enough air on the ball. And the second one, I'm pretty sure it was either a route miscommunication. That third one that almost happened to Kelce in the beginning of the third quarter, again, a miscalculation. And yeah, I know the last one at the end, they called holding. I mean, I know Jets or fans are mad, but a hold is a hold. I mean, you can call a hold at any point in the game. So, I mean, a hold's a hold, regardless if it was the right call. So, I mean, miscues were going to happen. But, I mean, I was happy, though, Mahomes in that last drive, 3rd and 22, picked up the yards. And no matter how many times they called it back for holding, he did it and then was able to get the last yards and slide, which was very smart. So, again, he's like, we're going to win as long as you win this game. Doesn't matter if it's by an inch or it's by a mile, like you're saying. A win is a win. And it showed that, look, they can beat this team. And I think they're only getting better. They even have their best defensive guy out there. And the touchdowns the Jets got were good deals by Zach Wilson. So when we kind of look at this whole thing as a whole, the Chiefs are in a good spot. The Jets are going to be able to compete. Now, will they get a playoff game? I think they might due to Zach Wilson's confidence has spiked, but I also know this. The Chiefs, they need to get another receiver and need a wide receiver too, an equivalent one, because just not having Kelce and other guys is not helping. In this game, I feel like it showed. You got to get someone else going. So those are my thoughts. JP, what you got?
I'm looking at Nick Wright put out something. He said a lot of talk about officiating, but I'm not sure what call we're discussing. The obvious incorrect face mask call that started at the 2 and resulted in a safety, which is true. The obvious incorrect horse collar, which was true. That was not a horse collar. And you got people in here, and they found one hold, and I don't even know if it was really necessarily a hold because they were both holding each other when Mahomes had that long run from the 30.
Yeah.
Look, man, it is what it is. There was holds. There was calls that were missed. A lot of calls against the Chiefs that were missed. A lot of bad calls on the Chiefs. It was a tough game. We talked about this on the other show. We thought the Jets might come out with their D playing a little aggressive, and they did. It is what it is. It happened. The Chiefs have to tighten up the offense a little bit more. The little vanilla, they were very vanilla after they started off vanilla, to be honest with you. I mean, they got 17 points quick because the Jets weren't set up to play us. They weren't ready to play an offense like us.
They weren't ready to play defense against a running team, and we came out.
Yeah, I mean, Pacheco had 158 yards, total yards, 116, I think, rushing. on 20 carries. It was the one thing that I noticed that I'm still kind of confused, and maybe I'm just, I don't know, maybe I'm biased to a degree. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe it's just because they're saving him for the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of plays that McKinnon would have benefited.
Mm-hmm.
The team would have benefited from McKinnon being in the game.
I
And
think
they
they're
just
saving
haven't
him. I think they're saving him from that last stretch in November, December, where the schedule is going to get difficult against teams like the Dolphins. We're going to have to chase points and the Eagles. So I do believe I think that is one reason why. Because they're seeing what Clyde can do, but they know McKinnon can really step up when you really need him.
And Clyde should not have been on the field.
We're going to keep talking about that, but they're going to keep putting him on the field.
Oh, they are. Until he messes up brutally bad.
And the only reason I think they're doing it is for a change of pace, basically. I don't think there's any other advantage to that aside from change of pace.
Really. Maybe you could find somebody to give a bag of stale chips for him if you're trying to trade before week 8.
I don't know who's going to do it. And if you can, absolutely, because there's other guys. We have other
Prince. I would like to see what Prince could do.
Absolutely.
Number 12, I don't remember his name, but you could put him and let him do different things in the backfield. I mean, I feel like there's options, but I do believe they're showcasing him a little bit each and every game. And he didn't do bad, but it showed in some instances where it was like, I don't know. And I do feel like in this next 3 stretch of games, they're going to make an effort to give him some touchdowns so he can get maybe moved on if it comes down to it. But I feel like he possibly still going to be there regardless. So,
real quick, I think they're moving away from the whole idea of what's his face being the number 1 receiver.
Tony?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They have to.
They've abandoned that, which I'm glad they have, which means that it offers somebody else to be that guy. But no one wants to step up and take the reins. Like I'm expecting, like it's not Kelsey. Like Kelsey, leave Kelsey as a tight end. I think it's time we put that line of demarcation there. Time for one of our receivers to step up, and I'm expecting it to be Rashee Rice. Yeah. I think I can see the chemistry between he and Mahomes. Sky, he's leaving a little bit much to be desired. It is what it is. He's just in his second year. I'm hoping we see it move forward as the season rolls along. But Rashee Rice seems like the guy right now.
Well, and I said this earlier. I don't know if I said it on the show. I did say this backstage. They need to find another wide receiver to come in. Not no crazy guy like Mike Evans, not Justin Jefferson, but they need someone that's consistent and can help. They got some money. They can do it.
You got a guy in mind. Who is it?
Well, I would like Mike Evans, honestly. But that's not going to happen. I mean,
okay. Give us a realistic guy. Like I'm trying to think of who else would be out there that's not going to be over 30. Because that's the thing. Most of the guys out are like over 30 right now.
I would like Jarvis Landry, but he's on the Patriots, and I don't know what's going to happen there.
That's a good point.
I mean, that would be something I would like. I mean, if you look at a couple of options, I mean, it's really tough. Maybe you can trade for Thielen, but I know when they brought him in, his legs were messed up. So I don't know who they're really going to get, but I feel like they got to bring someone in to help. They have to.
Thielen's giving you as much production as Rashee is. You might as well keep him. See, that's the thing.
Know. I feel like he it's a fear factor. You need at least some fear factor.
Thielen is not you don't fear Thielen. That's
okay. All right.
But what I will say is I do think that bringing in a guy could take away from valuable snaps and valuable attention that Rashee Rice would be getting. And, I do want another guy. Don't get me wrong, but I wrestle with that, the idea that takes away from what Rashee's first-year impact could be down the line.
Also, I'll add to that, too. I even asked Boo Smith about this because he was on the PSF Live with us, and I said, "Why are they holding back so much on Ross?"
Yeah,
because
that's another.
He played with him. He knows him. He played with him, during training camp and stuff, and he knows him. And he said, "Honestly, I don't know because he's good." He said he's got all the tangibles. He knows what he's doing. He said maybe they're just trying to, working him into the system for later on in the season. That he said it's confusing to him as just as it is to me, because Ross is not a bad player. He runs great routes. He said he's not the fastest guy, and he said that may be part of it. He said he doesn't have that instant burst. But during this game, I noticed there was mismatches that could have been alleviated by it was almost like it was the offensive game plan was called poorly. And I don't like to say that.
So we're blaming Nagy.
But I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm throwing a little bit of that on.
That's fine. I think it's fine. We throw it on Bieniemy, you can throw it on Nagy. That's totally fine.
It is not even so much. It just last week it didn't feel like the plays aligned with each other. They weren't meshing. There was no gel at all there. This week it seemed like it was doing fine. It just got stale. Like they scripted out the first 15 plays. After that, you saw the difference.
Yeah,
you understood the difference, and 15 worked perfectly, but after that, it just kind of fell apart.
And I'm not going to complain to the degree that a lot of people have complained, just simply because we have so many new guys on our team that are trying to gel. I get all of that. I guess what I'm saying is you had situations like with MVS. He made a hell of a catch downfield. There's certain time, and you see, you actually witnessed him. It was a great mismatch at that point. So why not exploit that mismatch instead of pulling back? It's like they pulled the reins in on him. Justin Watson was out there minimal times tonight, which to me, he is one of those guys that he's like Old Faithful, man. I mean, when you're in a 3rd and 18, 3rd and 19 position, that's the guy that you want to rely on, and he's been very reliable. But he wasn't out there.
Yeah.
So I was confused as to why there were some mismatches out there that I didn't understand. I don't understand why they didn't make the adjustments that I felt like they should have made it at halftime to help.
I do believe this. They knew Zach Wilson could do something, but they're like, you know what? We believe in our defense. And the defense after line that last touchdown, they stood packed. So, I mean, that defense can play very well. And they had Nick Bolton wasn't there, and they did very good against run. Now, did the Jets have some big plays and things like that? But the defense stepped up. They got the fumble. They were doing many different other things. So, I do believe, and I know it was a drop, but a turnover is a turnover.
It is, no doubt. No, I'm not saying that. But I want to say this. Unfortunately, our defense did give Zach Wilson a little bit of confidence.
He did, yeah. And that happened.
And I do, and that sounds like I'm short selling the defense, and I'm actually commending them. I just wish that didn't happen, because giving him that amount of success really did boost his confidence so much to where he was torn up about losing this game at the end. Yeah. But I mean, such is life, Yeah.
Honestly, he looks. It's so strange, because when you look at him, I see a 12-year-old little boy. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm really not.
Same thing with Joe Burrow, though. Come on now.
Well, that's true. Joe Burrow looks like Macaulay Culkin.
They both look like they're Home Alone.
Yeah, he's the Home Alone kid. And, I mean, I guess Zach Wilson's a Sandlot kid. I don't know what else to say. All I can say is he looks young, and there's times that he acts very young. Now, what I noticed this is something that I said during the live. He was very scared. You saw it in his eyes. He was scared to death at the beginning of that game. But when they got a little bit of life in him, that fear in his eyes turned to almost confidence.
Yeah.
Which is fine. He needed that. But I wish he would have got it in a different game, because it didn't shine a whole lot of light on us.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, though. They have weapons. So I think if Rodgers was there, this game still would have been close. Now, different story. Maybe they go down and win. But I do believe when you look at it in the day, I don't think Zach Wilson's terrible, but he did need a game to figure it out. And he knew his back was against the wall and it looked like they were going to get blown out. And yeah, there were some things that allowed him to get opportunities where you could argue, well, that shouldn't have happened.
Well, it was given
But
to him.
I will say that the Chiefs defense, for the most part, only allowed 20 points, shut him down when they really needed to. So I am confident that they can figure things out moving forward.
You are
I
correct.
could just imagine what
Professor.
the PFS numbers are going to look like because they were, the Chiefs were the talk with defense, and then they allow Zach Wilson to put up 20 points.
Okay.
So,
But I mean,
when is a wounded animal the most? I tried to set that up wrong. A wounded animal is the most dangerous animal,
absolutely.
and at this point, that's what Zach Wilson was. His ego had already been bruised, especially from the last game he played. Like everything was against him. So he is desperate at this point. And desperate times call for desperate measures. And he took every one of those measures to heart. They coached him up, Nathaniel Hackett and them. They coached him up really well, to be honest with you. And then he went out and slung it and made sure what he did out there mattered and count. And then the defense, they were just I don't know if they did anything necessarily, but they were in the right place at the right time.
Miscommunications.
Pick off Mahomes, but those stunts.
Those stunts were killing us. Yeah, man.
I didn't know those dudes were that fast.
Yeah, they're
I know they can be. Don't get me wrong, but the Jets got some hogs down there.
Yep.
And I'm shocked that to see one go from the left side to the right side so quickly.
Yeah.
And just find the holes and get through them. That was crazy.
Yeah.
But
so that's true. Who's your guys' offensive MVP? We'll go and start with JP, Diz, and then myself. So JP,
I'm giving it to Pacheco.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
He was the best player on the field tonight as far as offensively as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
He did everything right.
Okay. Nice.
Me is Patrick Mahomes. He shouldn't have to run as much as he's doing. Like, there's no reason he should be having to run like this. He hadn't had to do that in the past, and just seeing him take off in the open field, and the lasting memory in my mind is that last run where he slid before the touchdown, and I'm sure a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people were like, "Why is he sliding?" Look, that's the same thing as a Super Bowl, but isn't that turf?
That it is turf, and that's
I was worried about.
I was kind of worried. Yeah, I agree with you because kind of throughout the game, I was like, someone.
I was like, I don't know, because he gets a cleat in there, man. You could really.
That's what scared me, because that's exactly what happened to Aaron Rodgers.
You could damage your ankle really badly in that, and we know about his history with his ankle. But anyway, it's Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly. I would have to say my MVP, offensive MVP, I gotta give Pacheco too. I mean, stepped up at the right time. I mean, over 100 yards rushing, which we never really see. The Chiefs got to continue to use him. I do believe they need to get another running back if they trade Clyde to help with that, because Pacheco is doing great. I'm just concerned with his body over time with the wear and tear, because he runs hard and run fast. And it kind of scared me when he was running and doing different things on the turf, and then kind of looked like his knees were acting weird. So I just kind of hope maybe they can find someone else who can help take some of that load, but can still consider to be the number one. Because they got
a guy. They got a guy.
Oh, I agree.
Ryan. They got him.
Yeah. So who are you guys' defensive MVP? Go ahead and start off, JP. We'll do the same order.
Honestly, that's a difficult one, because honestly, I think they all played well. I'm going to give it to Snead.
Okay.
Snead had a hell of a game. He really did. With the exception of – actually, there is no exception. That was McDuffie. I think Snead played a hell of a game. I'm sorry, but he did. He had a hell of a game. He was everywhere he needed to be constantly. It was a consistent effort by Snead on every play, every pass play. He was there, not afraid to put the hammer down on anybody. He didn't Marcus Peters one play. He just went out. If he had to tackle somebody, he tackled him. He did what he had to do. And I there's nothing about that guy I don't like. I hope and pray they bring him back.
Okay.
So,
nice. This is what you got.
Mine is going to be the linebacking core.
Oh, you took mine. Okay.
Yeah, the linebacking core. I couldn't just choose one. I felt like Drew Tranquil was everywhere.
Mhm.
They kind of stifled the run game, which I think the Jets were actually going to try to use against us, but they were really stifling that. Drew Tranquil and Willie
Mhm.
Gay. Willie Gay, you saw that sideline to sideline
Yeah,
speed that
man.
he
Mhm.
has. And one of the things we talked about in the live stream, by the by, everybody who doesn't have PSF, um, Pro Sports Fans, the app, go get it. And be some power fans, get on there because we're talking about a lot of stuff on there. But
Mhm.
one thing we talked about is how JP says he doesn't think that Willie Gay is going anywhere. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I hope not, because if you're able to keep Willie Gay, Nick Bolton for one more year, and then maybe a Drew Tranquil resign, because Drew Tranquil wanted to be here. He had other places he could have went, but he wanted to
Mhm.
be here. You
Absolutely.
you've got a solidified linebacking core. You pretty much got a defensive backfield that's going to be great, and then I'm holding out hope that they can sign Chris Jones to a deal and make him
Mhm.
a chief for his whole career. And then you just got your whole linebacker, everything set up. So mine is going to be the linebacking core.
I'm gonna give mine to more specifically, what's his name, Chanel. I mean, was calling
Yeah,
out the defense, doing a great job. In the addition, if Willie Gay were to leave, he would slide into that role and be right next to
yeah,
Bolton. Two great guys. I just think we have to give him some highlights. Philip, putting Mike Edwards did great as well. I mean, this defense is top 10, top 5 at this point. What they've been able to do. I don't think they've allowed over 21, 22 points per game.
21's the highest game, or highest
They've
point this
done
year.
very good. It's kind of stopping them. And yeah, the Jets got their punches in, but the Chiefs defense, when they needed to, stopped them. So I'm very pleased with them. So, what are your guys' kind of like final thoughts before we wrap this up about just the game in general and looking towards the future? Are we scared? Are we nervous? Should there be any changes? What do you guys
I,
think?
I'm not scared. I think they're going to make some adjustments and they'll move forward just like they do every single year. Today was not the best game for Patrick Mahomes, and I'm saying that very lightheartedly because look, there was a couple of passing wise. I'm not going to say his entire game was bad. It wasn't. He had a couple of mistakes that he made. There was a couple, and weirdly enough, they were both the tight ends. But
Mm,
those two interceptions that he threw were, and he even said it himself. If you guys watched him walk off the field, he said, "Throw the fucking ball." You know, I mean, because he wasn't throwing the ball. He didn't put enough on the ball.
that's the first one. Yeah.
The
come
first
on,
one,
man. It looked
yeah,
like it was bad. I was
he
expecting
just was
somebody.
off tonight. It was just
Yeah,
weird. He was off tonight. And
Yeah.
normally he can improv when wide receivers aren't in their positions or they're not doing what they're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be doing. He can usually improv that stuff. Tonight he was just off a little. Uh,
I, I
that's
would.
all I really got.
I would say he just made up in other ways with a Russian, and then the last drive, he really showed up. So yeah, where he was struggling in one area, he's showing
He made it
teams
up
if
in another.
you
Yeah,
need to put a spy on me. And if you're going to put a spy on me, I'm going to hurt you over the top. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
absolutely.
it's the offensive line to me struggled with
yeah,
They
those
did,
stunts.
but if they didn't if they handled this defensive line, I would consider them the best offensive line in football.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Quinnen Williams is no joke. All right. That's why he got paid
Mm-hmm.
the money he got paid coming out of, I can't even remember what school he
I
came
think it
out
was
of.
Alabama.
Alabama.
I think.
Alabama,
I
Yeah,
think.
coming out of Alabama. He looked like a little boy, but that is a full grown man.
Mm-hmm.
He's a full grown man. So yeah,
he's
they
fast
wasn't no
too.
joke. Yeah, he
And,
is.
He's
and
fast.
Jermaine
Very fast.
Johnson, who was a
I wanted Jermaine Johnson on the Chiefs that
yeah.
year that they drafted him. I
Mm-hmm.
really did. But
Yeah.
that's another story for another day.
Mm-hmm. So no,
Well,
I go ahead, JP.
no, I was just gonna say the one thing that I will say is that
Ouch.
I think the antics, and I understand the frustration by losing a game, but Robert Saleh, I know he feels like he's on the hot seat as well. He's got the team
He,
pissed off at him because of Zach Wilson. He's got other things going on, but it was a hold, and
Yes.
you have to understand that it was a hold and not get yourself not only penalized but also fined, and that's what he did.
But here's the thing. Go ahead.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead,
I
Jalen.
was gonna say I understand where he's coming from, but here's the thing: officials need to take heat sometimes. I'm not saying he was in the right situation, but sometimes these coaches need to be able to speak their mind freely.
Yeah.
Now, did he probably go too far? Yes, but sometimes I kind of felt like, Andy, all right, you got to come out of that just a little bit more to make your point known. So that's just how I feel. Go at this.
Imagine the Jets team that had been frustrated with Robert Saleh as it already stands because they're continue to go on with the quarterback that they have instead of bringing in somebody. Those guys have been frustrated. It's been noted.
Yeah.
So without him putting up any kind of fuss, any kind of resistance towards the officiating, I think the locker room would have lost respect for him.
Yeah.
So
more respect.
Yeah, they would have lost more respect. And now I think he might have gained a little bit extra by putting himself in the firing line because he now got some heat on him as far as fines and maybe something else. But the locker room might look at him a little different. They also now, in terms of looking at him different, they look at Zach Wilson different because he showed up this game.
He did.
He literally showed up this game and he proved what Robert Saleh was trying to tell these guys this whole time. He can do it. We just got to give him the tools and give him a little time to develop.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well, it's kind of comical because when you think about it, the one thing that I said on the show is that I didn't think he was a bad quarterback. I thought that he was playing scared in the sense that he's scared to make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he was doing the prior 2 games. Tonight, he started off that way, but when he got a little bit of momentum, that fear factor went away. And he wasn't so scared to make a mistake. And he threaded the needle a few times into double coverage that I didn't expect that to come out of him. I mean, he threw some phenomenal passes tonight, and I got to give it up to the kid. He didn't do a bad job against a really good defense. Our defense is no joke. So he did what he had to do. I'm not going to and look, everybody was saying this. I said the same thing about Justin Fields. He had a 300-yard, 4-touchdown game today. He was put in a position today to lose. They should have kicked the field goal and lived to fight a little bit longer. Instead, they left him out there. They made him, they forced the ball, and he forced an interception. They could have kicked the field goal and lived to play a little bit longer and trusted in their defense. That's kind of what the Jets did to us today. They trusted in their defense a little bit more. They trusted in Zach Wilson a little bit more when he got that confidence level going towards the, I guess the end of the end of the second half, and it just kind of continued on. I'm not going to complain about it. We won. It wasn't a pretty win, but hey, man.
We had a bunch of pretty wins in 2021. And we ended up short of the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Because,
you got to grind.
Yeah, I sometimes I like the runaway games, but sometimes these grinded games are going to be better for the long haul.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's what I take it as.
Exactly.
It's a learning experience all the way around, man. I mean, that's exactly what tonight was learning experience. And I think the defense learned something tonight. I feel like our offensive line learned a whole lot tonight. And what scares me about that is that other teams that we play moving forward that have a somewhat athletic defensive line are going to use those stunts against us. So we really have to prepare for that.
Eagles.
Even though they've regressed a little bit.
That's a guarantee. Eagles. Hassan Reddick got his first sack today, of the season. But they still have like a plethora of guys that they can keep plugging in. So that's going to happen. So we got to clean that up.
Exactly.
But that's further in the future. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I agree. Well, again, we appreciate everybody for joining. Thanks you guys for jumping on. I know it's late, but we would like to do these post-game shows. Estes said, make sure you download the PSF app. It's a lot of fun. We had Boo Smith on the entire game tonight. He gave us his perspective on the Chiefs and he knows football very well, so he can explain a play out before it happens. He called the screen to Sky before it even happened, and it was a perfect call. So it's always fun to be on that app and have be able to speak your mind, I guess I should say. So make sure you download the app, and we'll talk to you guys again on Tuesday. Enjoy the win.
Deuces.
Deuces, peace. It was perfect. Okay.